Four Midwest Guys presents Mandalorian Review.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Four Midwest Guys presents the Mandalorian Review. John Steph couldn't be with us this week, but as always I have down in the corner this week Mr. Brian Eckenbauer.
Hey, what's up?
And with me, she joined us last night for our very special breaking news podcast and all the big Star Wars announcements, my daughter Gabriella. Now, as you know, as I explained last time, I'm an overprotective parent and father, so I don't like her face being out there since she's underage, so therefore she has a helmet on for her own protection. But say hi, Gabby.
Hi, I can't see.
That's fine. You don't have to see. You just have to talk, honey. So,
well, I have to see the note.
You'll be fine. Just listen.
Okay.
It'll be fine. Everything will be just fine.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, this so we're on the second last episode of season 2, episode 7, chapter 15, The Believer. Let's do our non-spoiler. So, Brian, what'd you think of The Believer overall?
I thought it was a good episode. It didn't kind of turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it kind of followed what we kind of talked about last week, what we kind of anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what we knew, who was coming back and whatnot, we kind of guessed for the most part what was going to happen.
Right.
There was some pretty decent scenes in it, and it felt like a lot of like what I wanted to call this episode was redemption, even though it's called The Believer.
Yeah, that would be a good alternate title. I agree. Gabby, what you think? Just not giving away anything on the episode.
It was pretty good. I actually like this one a lot more than some of the other ones that there were. So, you know.
Okay. That's awesome. I agree with Brian that this one could have been called Redemption. This one was very much, no, again, I don't want to give any details away, but it's a very good episode. It takes things and kind of, I won't say flip-flops it a little bit, but it gives it a different perspective on things, kind of, sort of, in a way, and is got some sacrifice in there, I think, even from a certain point of view. Yeah, it's a really, really good episode. All right, so with that in mind, everything going forward, we're going to go into the episode, and we will be spoiling the episode. So make sure that you watch the episode from this point forward. Watching us, make sure you've watched the episode. All right, so let's talk about the very first scene. The prison salvage work yard, also known as the Carthan Chop Fields, which is what we learned from last week. I really love this. I dig this. We got you got more Walker cranes. We saw that again. You've got the wreckage. You've got wrecked TIE fighters everywhere. Wreckage left over from the war. They're just breaking it down. It's a work camp for prisoners, and they're breaking all this stuff down and turning into salvage. I really dug this. It's definitely got brings back that Star Wars used universe feel that I love, which and it's just very practical because of what the galaxy's gone through in the Galactic Civil War, and the everything that's happened. What do you think, Brian, of the opening scene?
Yeah, it definitely reminded me of the salvage yard, and it felt like I thought it would have been kind of neat to have if you see piles of certain spaceships and stuff together.
Oh, okay.
Or them taking pieces of and see them trying to rebuild. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like take them because that's basically what they were doing is they were breaking down all the metal.
Yeah.
To reforge it to make new. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool. I dug it.
Yeah, I really liked it. How did you like it, Gabby?
Well, I definitely wasn't expecting it, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it does look like a scrapyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I did take away from this, because we were kind of expecting a prison break and we didn't get that. Apparently, because I kind of thought that Cara Dune's marshal title was maybe slightly honorary, like she's working with them, but she's lightly affiliated with. No, she's a full-on fledged, sworn-in marshal, because she was able to, to go through the red tape and then do like a 48 hours kind of thing with him, and in a criminal release to help them, solve a case kind of thing. Get him released into her custody. So that kind of surprised me. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, we anticipated a prison break because we have Boba Fett and we had what's her name?
Fennec Shan.
Yeah, Fennec Chan. So we had, I thought we were gonna get some kind of prison break because he had to go find him.
Yeah.
That was how that episode kind of left off. Like, we need to find where he's at so we can go get him. But it turned out it was just find where he is and let's go pick him up.
Yeah, I remand him in my custody. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So, and then the other part I really liked about the opening scene was how Boba Fett walks out and he's like, "Oh, I thought you were somebody else." And then Mando walks out. He's like, "Oh crap."
Yeah.
Even though he should be more afraid of Boba Fett, but he doesn't know that, obviously. But the other thing, Boba Fett got a brand new paint job. He went ahead and repainted his armor in between episodes. So he looked better, I thought, anyway.
Yeah, I think they both look good.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Inside Slave One. Just wanted to bring this up. We actually got to see the inside of Slave One other than the cockpit. In the past movies and stuff, we've only seen them climb up in the cockpit. You actually got to see how the interior of the ship rotates as the ship goes from landing mode and then flies like this the rest of the way. So you got to see all that really move around like a gyroscope. Yeah, like a gyroscope. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. And then
does the toy do that?
No, they didn't. He didn't do that at all. You threw
always
Han in the back, and that's all it did.
You threw Han in the back, and you had Boba Fett in there, and you're like, when he flies, does he fly upside down?
How does this work?
Yeah. It was very cool to be able to see the whole where it moves side to side, and as the ship moved, it stayed basically steady, so there was no like seasickness, if you will.
Yeah, if I remember right on the toy, it's been years. If you actually loaded Boba Fett in like he was already flying the ship. So when he landed it, he was always back down. So
yes,
I think that's how it worked. And then you just threw Han's carbonite in the back of the ship, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool. Really cool to see. And then we find out we're going to go to a Morak, and there's a secret Imperial refinery there. And they mine rhydonium. Now, rhydonium, I looked it up. It is not coaxium, which is what we saw in Solo. Rhydonium has been seen, though, in like Rebels and those red canisters when they're for fuel. So they can fuel starships. They're also used in explosives and whatnot. So there's a little bit of a geek background for you on rhydonium. So it's used for multiple things throughout the galaxy. It's explosives as well as fuel.
So now rhydonium, is that better or worse than coaxium?
It seems to have the same destructive power if it's disrupted. If it, because we saw like the same with the coaxium. The coaxium, it was if it overheated before it was refined, it would be explosive. If it broke apart, it was explosive. But it seems rhydonium is even more unstable than coaxium, because even the slightest bump would cause it to become unstable.
So is it stronger?
But temperature didn't matter.
Temperature didn't matter necessarily.
So it was more stable.
Yes, where it's more stable in that sense, but as far as the physics of it, so if it's disrupted and moved and shooken, then it can explode on its own. So, or any kind of volatile, like we saw, any kind of shot from a gun, whatever, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's. I forgot to do the closer looks. Oh well. So here's our crane real quick, And I'll move on to other things here once I get myself situated. I was not prepared. My apologies. So here we are. Here's a good shot of them inside the Slave One, by the way, with all rotation going on, and you can kind of see in the background there the wheel of the ship kind of spinning them. Okay, so let's move on to scouting Morak. So they / the taking of the mining truck. We find out that this refinery, and it sounds like a lot of ex-Imperial facilities are now run by ex-ISB. So the secret police of the Empire seem to have taken over the running of these facilities, and that they can actually scan you. And if you come up, if your face is already registered in their database or even the Republic's database, it's going to set off an alarm. So there's some serious security going on here. I found that kind of interesting. What do you think about that, Brian?
How far we get into this? Because I found it really interesting that Mando's face got scanned, but it didn't register.
Right, because it's never been scanned before. So.
Right, which would have thrown a flag, right?
Well, you'd think, but I think because they were making it out if you're in the database as Imperial, you're okay, or if you've never been scanned before, you're okay. So I guess.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That was how they were going with it.
Because it was kind of. I thought it was if you didn't scan Imperial,
right?
Then there was an issue.
That would make more sense, but for the storytelling purposes,
okay,
that's not what they did.
Yeah, I mean it was interesting though that was like an ATM machine.
Yeah.
They would have to do that.
Yeah, like you have to be like they have to be able to see you before you get money out.
Did they take an old ATM machine and use it?
No, I don't think so. But that would have been cool if they had.
That's what it looked like. It looked like an ATM machine, like as if you're going to the library. I need to check out this book. Scan your face, please.
Scan your face, please. I did like Boba's joke. Did you catch his joke? He's like,
no, what he said?
He said, my face may be familiar to them. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Because he's a clone.
Yeah.
They may recognize my face, I think is what he actually said, but that's still pretty funny. I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh, I just caught on to that now.
Yeah, it was an inside joke. I didn't catch it till the second time I watched it. Like, oh, clone humor, nice.
Yeah.
And then the big thing about when they take this is for the first time Mando he's altering his beliefs here. He's creating I don't know what you would call it. He's altering his beliefs, or he's allowing for certain things to happen now. He was able to take off his armor as long as nobody got to see his face while he did it, and he put on the stormtrooper outfit, the mining trooper, which I thought was kind of huge. Brian, what do you think about that?
Well, it just seemed to me that it's one of those he'll do anything to get the child back.
Yeah.
Like, so he'll do anything to get Grogu back, and the face thing was kind of interesting, where he's like, I still don't want anybody to see my face.
Right.
But
so by theory, technicality, nobody sees his face, so he's still good to go. He just
right.
So I was just like, oh, okay. So he's kind of bending the rules, so to speak, I guess.
But Mayfield knows what his face looks like.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. We're going through the episode, honey. So
okay. Don't
jump ahead. Also, I did like the look of the mining trooper. I don't know what you thought about that, Brian, but I like that a lot, actually. That
you mean his overall look, or the ones that ran out from on the bridge?
On the bridge, you had the regular stormtrooper, and then the brown one's the mud trooper, which we saw in Rogue One. That's where that started.
Okay.
So those were the cute. So the ones they were wearing.
And so the mining trooper was the one that they had on.
Yeah, the grayish black.
Yeah. I mean, I thought them and the mud trooper looked good.
Yeah, I really dug the mining trooper. Actually, I think better than. I actually like that better, almost even better than the death. I think like the death troopers should look like the mining troopers to me. I like the longer, like it looks more menacing to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I got you.
But I just really dug the look of the mining. The mining. I'm calling him a mining trooper. I haven't heard yet if that's official geek terminology yet, but that's what I'm going to call him for now.
For what they had?
Huh?
They refer to themselves as the transport.
Transport Corso, so maybe transport trooper. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
that's what I would
it
say.
I
would say transport trooper.
Okay, mining transport trooper. We'll put them together maybe.
Yep.
I don't know, but yeah,
that'll work.
Yeah, I really dug that like
MTTs.
long. Yeah, what's that?
MTTs.
Yeah, MTTs. Yeah, there you go. Got AT-ATs and now MTTs.
Dad.
Yeah.
You call it AT-ATs?
Yes, I call it AT-ATs.
Why?
That's what I called it since I was a kid. I don't care. That's
Why
it's
though?
AT-ATs. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
We'll talk about it off screen. All right, so let's move on to on the road to the refinery. This is where we find out that how unstable it really is. The Rhydonium is. They hit a couple bumps and dispatches talking to the guys ahead of them. Hey, slow down. You're volatile. They're monitoring it very closely, so it doesn't take much to set this stuff off. And the whole time they're doing this, Mayfield is trying to make his case that believes the side pretty much at the end of the day that him and Mando really aren't that different. And he's trying to make his case. He's like, well, if you're born an Alderaan or if you're born, here, or Mandalorian, you've got a completely different set of views. But the same, and he's really trying to make his case that they're not that different after all. That there's not that much difference. What do you think about them trying to? Pretty much the theme of the whole episode is they're doing this sort of thing, kind of a twist or a turn on what we know and what we believe. It's all about beliefs, kind of. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it came down to there's a story behind everybody, and not you don't necessarily know what has gotten to that person at that certain point.
Right.
So, like with Mayfield, he served his time with the Empire, realized how bad they were. He's fought in all these battles, and decided that's not the way he wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to go against the Empire, but at the same time he wasn't fighting with rebels.
Right.
He was like, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And that's where it got him in trouble, and that's why he was an outlaw or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just happened to lie. He decided to serve the Empire. He probably thought he was doing the right thing, and then he found out it wasn't, and then it snowballed from there.
Well, yeah, much like we saw in like Solo and everything else, where it was like join the Empire, blah 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 blah, and it seemed like it was like,
yeah,
oh yeah, we'll join the Empire. Yeah, that's the cool thing to do,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the Empire's got everything locked down, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, they're not exactly. You find out you're serving the wrong side, and that you've become labeled, and you're now part of the stereotype. So
yeah, you're part of the problem, not the solution.
Right, exactly. And Mando's not having any of it. He's sticking to his beliefs. He's like, we're nothing alike. He even turned. Let's make something clear here, pal. And but the whole time, Mando is compromising his own beliefs while all this is going on. So you got this kind of dynamic going on between the two, and inside himself as well. And then you end up more twisting and turning. You find Mando having to fight rebels who are blowing up the Rhydonium. So the good guy, dressed as the bad guy, now has to fight good guys trying to rescue their planet from the Empire. So it's all turned around. It's a very strange sort of feeling.
You lost me.
Okay,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so think about it this way. So Mando is dressed as the transport mining trooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to keep them from blowing himself up, because he's undercover, he has to fight people who are fighting against the Empire. So in a strange twist of events, Mando is currently helping the Empire in this case. Mind blown, right? But that's what's going on. Because of the circumstances, he finds himself kind of halfway, not really, but for his own self-preservation, he's now finding himself having to fight on the Empire's side temporarily.
Yeah, it was very odd, and I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if you noticed or not, but they didn't use humans as the rebels that we're fighting against, right? They used all alien creatures that looked like they had like a menacing thing. So like as we're watching it happen, we're not actually feeling like he's fighting the good guy. We're kind of feeling like he's fighting the bad guy because he's like, oh, look at the creatures, they look bad, so he's obviously fighting the bad guys.
Right. Yeah.
And that's that's why some people don't even notice. They're like, oh,
right.
He was fighting the people that were trying to blow him up.
But no, he's fighting probably an indigenous species to this planet that is trying to get the Empire, who are the ultimate bad guys, out of out of their way. So so yeah, we got all that going on. Anyway, but yeah, and then it was just another strange sight was watching the TIE fighters rescue him. So he's overwhelmed. He looks like he's going to get overrun by the indigenous rebels, and then all of a sudden the TIE fighters come out of nowhere, blast them, and suddenly stormtroopers and mud troopers run up and they blast them and massacre.
Very reminiscent of like the Millennium Falcon coming out of nowhere.
Yes, very much so. And it just like, yeah, it's just like, it's the Empire to the rescue, though. And
Mayfield was even like, yeah, they're coming to save us.
Yeah, and then you get the salute. They get the salute from the damn stormtrooper. As they're going by, and I'm like, this is just wrong.
I actually really enjoyed it because it actually felt like when Luke and Leia and everybody came back from blow up the Death Star. Yeah. And they're getting out of their ship or whatever, and they're getting the pats on the back from everybody. Everybody's celebrating and everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
it's exactly what this felt like. It's something in the opposite direction.
Yeah, it was just
like yes. Yeah. I actually liked it because I've always liked stormtroopers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've always liked that whole like they're part of that group, even though they're horrible shots.
yeah, you're right. It's very reminiscent of A New Hope. That's a great point. And I got the shot up right now, and you got all these guys going, putting their arms up in the air, and there's stormtroopers going, yes, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Stop, please, somebody stop this. Stop the madness. It's crazy. But anyway, but let's continue. Continue on from there. So Mayfield, they find the terminal in the mess hall, but Mayfield is scared to death because he sees this new character, this Imperial officer, who plays a great part, by the way. Maybe one of the better Imperial officers I've seen on screen in a long time. Just how methodical he is with them. The way he's from the way he talks, his demeanor, the way he was trying to shake down Mando. Anyway. We'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, I just like, wow, this guy's incredible. I was sad to see him go, but he's a bad guy. But yeah, he looked very Nazi-like. What did you think, Brian?
I mean that's the kind of the imagery that we get for a lot of the Empire stuff is the Nazis. So I mean, it felt very reminiscent of what I would imagine a Nazi. Not gentleman's club, but a Nazi
bar or something.
Yeah, like a not Nazi management bar. You know what I mean? Like the higher ups would go in there and sit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's kind of what it felt like to me because there's hardly anybody in there. Yeah. None of them are stormtroopers.
Right.
It's all basically upper management going in there.
Officers club. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. He was really good, and he's scared to death. I always want to call him Mayfield. It's Mayfeld, I think, but
I didn't want him to die.
He deserved to die, but anyway.
I know, but like.
Yeah, bad guy wise, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. He made a very good bad guy. Hopefully they'll take somebody will watch that and transfer that to the next big bad and one of the other new series coming out. But anyway, but yeah, it was. He was so scared of this guy. He locked up. And then Mando's like, all right, I'll do it. And which I was like, is he really going to take his helmet off? Because if he takes his helmet off, that's it. As far as his belief system is, concerned. If anybody's, yeah, go ahead.
Well, as I say, what I think it was what really caused this is Mayfield reported this guy, and it was Mayfield. He realized what kind of guy this was. It was probably that guy that made him leave the Empire.
Yeah, fearful.
You know, him specifically. Yeah, he was just like he's like, what did he say? We lost 15,000 troops that day, or 5,000 troops that day, or whatever.
They said
and he's like
5 to 10.
Yeah,
and they said, and we lost it for the greater good.
Yeah,
and he goes,
Empire.
Was it really better for them?
Yeah, and he
was it really? Yeah, you know what I mean. It was like it was just one of those like, wow, like it was like you could just tell how much it affected him as a person.
Exactly.
But you could also see it bubbling up too. One of those like it just like you could tell it was like, crap.
Here it comes. But I think the other point that we need to make here though is that the sacrifice that Mando is making, he's already compromised his beliefs once. He's making an exception, right? And now then he goes off to the terminal, and because the terminal does the facial scan, he has to take his helmet off. So he literally breaks all the rules, and I think that needs to be noted. I think that shows a true sign of how much he loves Grogu, because what is love but sacrifice, right? And he's sacrificing everything. I mean, this is how he's been raised since the Mandalorians found him, since he was a foundling or whatever. So I think it's a huge moment for his character and his character development, even that he's I'm all in at this point for the kid, and it doesn't matter.
So this is only like the second time we've seen his face.
Yeah. We saw him with IG-11 and episode 8 of the series finale last year. Yeah, that was the only other time we've seen him with his helmet off, where they've shown his face anyway. So it's just a huge moment for him that he's compromised all of his beliefs for the kid, for what he calls the kid Grogu. So I think that's a big thing. That's a huge thing for him, and and I think that's going to play into if we continue to see him take his helmet off going forward, maybe, because now that he's done it, will he do it again? Or is he going to stick to the creed and the code? So the old way, or is he going to go more with the modern way, of doing things? So I think that's huge. Anything else you can think of about the helmet? Does that come to mind when you think about that?
Well, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like Catholics.
Yeah, tradition.
The whole Roman Catholic versus American Catholic. You know what I mean?
The two sides.
Yeah, where you felt like everything was one for the longest time, and then they realized that American Catholic was turning into like Sister Act, where it was more of a celebration.
Right.
And Roman Catholics said, no, that's not what this is. So this is what you're going to do. And then you had a lot of Catholics say, okay, see ya.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of like what this feels like to me, is that the way Mando was raised Roman Catholic, and he's slowly but surely falling into the
American Catholic, or the modern theme way of doing things.
The modern Mando.
The modern Mando, if you will, yes. But the other thing I thought about when it scanned his face, I'm like, oh shit, this could come back to haunt him. So let's say he gets the watch to back him, and then all of a sudden the Empire puts up a picture of his face. You know what I mean? Because that would mean he took his helmet off in front of people, or in front of something, even, and that may come down the road, may become a problem for him with the Empire and whatnot.
It could be.
So I was like, ooh. All right, so let's move on to a drink with Valen Hess. So Valen Hess really does a shakedown. He kind of, I'm going to say he actually kind of has like a sense that something's up. It seems like to me, like he had like just because of the way that especially maybe Mayfield was acting, walking in and out of the bar, that he went up to, and then he sees Mando come in and act kind of nervous. seemed like he was really shaking him down. He's like, "What's your TK number? Who are you?" You know, and even Mando is stumbling because number one, he has his helmet off, and I think that's what he's really thinking about, and he's not really thinking logically. And Mayfield has to actually confront his own fears and come in and save Mando about that. What'd you think about that, Gabby?
Well, to start off, I don't know, like, it's just, I don't know. I agree with you, but there's something else that I can't put my finger on about it.
Okay. So, do you think that, do you think he knows? Do you think he thinks something's up the whole time, or do you think he's
I
just
obviously
messing
thought
with him?
that.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Brian, what do you think? Do you think they're
Yeah, he definitely noticed the bald-headed guy walk in and then walk right back out of the mess hall. So,
Yeah.
with being Mayfield, you could see that you watched him look up from his table and kind of get a puzzled look on his face, like, why did that guy just do that?
Yeah.
And that's what sparked his interest in Mando when he was walking in.
Yeah.
I think if they hadn't done that, he would have had no idea who Mayfield even was.
Yeah. I agree. I think he would have just been, because he would have just been another number, and he never would have, caught on or anything. So yeah, I think this full shakedown is a result of that. And eventually, though, Mayfield actually covers for him really well, and they actually sit down and have the drink. He's like, he even calls him Brown Eyes, which I was like, whoa, you just called Mando Brown Eyes, the guy you're completely scared of, and now you're calling him Brown Eyes. I'm like, ooh. Which I thought was funny. And then we get into the whole conversation, and like you said, you can see this bubbling up in Mayfield this whole time when he brings up Operation Cinder. Now, I'll give you a little bit of the geek background on Operation Cinder. That is the orders that the Emperor gave should he ever die. It's like a revenge order. It's a taped order, like these. He has these like robots with a holographic face of the Emperor that go around giving out his last will and testament orders. And the Cinder Operation Cinder was the burning of worlds. So they put like these satellites in space around these planets, and these satellites mess with the weather of the planets to such a degree that it becomes like its own weapon. The weather is a weapon against the cities, and it destroyed the landscapes of these planets and the cities, a lot of the cities, which is where I think Mayfield was when all this went down, and somehow he survived it. And
you looked it up?
Yeah, I looked all this up, and so they got these they put all these like weather satellites in orbit, and it just created havoc, and they kind of end up using it as like a weapon of mass destruction. So it would like go across the land and destroy cities, let the whole land, everything. It was like the Emperor's revenge,
right?
If you will. Basically saying that if the pawn can't protect the king, then the pawns need to perish. That was kind of the mentality.
Yeah, like I'm taking you with me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what Operation Cinder is. So when he's talking about that, that's what he's talking about. And then this Burning Khan is a planet that was like that. It was actually a mining town, I think, even before the Empire and then for the Empire. And then this Operation Cinder hit it. And it was already a damaged planet for the mining, and then this came through and made it even worse. So that's the background, a little bit of background story on that. And so, this is, and then we get into the whole thing, and we find out that not only did all this happen, but it's Valen Hess who actually probably ordered the city destroyed with his own troops in that city. So that tells you the degree, the sick-mindedness that you're going to kill your own troops just to win the battle.
The extreme disconnect between the leader and the troops. Yeah,
extreme disconnect and no value of life whatsoever. And this is where they draw the line between people who are just in bad situations, like Mayfield is, and the actual evil and real, where this guy, he goes on and on and on about, they're heroes of the Empire, like you were saying, and it's all for the greater good, and there's going to be, and then he goes into the whole he comes into the new what I think is the philosophy of the Empire at this point in time in the Star Wars timeline, and he says, people don't really want freedom; they want order. And
right.
He said, "We're going to create so much havoc with this Rhydonium that you guys brought us, that we're gonna create so much havoc with that they're gonna come back. They're gonna want order so badly that they're gonna welcome us with open arms." And that's his mentality, which I think is kind of the Empire's mentality at this point in time. What do you think, Brian?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the same thing with like even the New World Order.
Yes.
Order from chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So you create enough chaos, people are going to flock to wherever the order is.
Correct.
Regardless of who's leading.
Right.
And that's exactly what this is if you create enough chaos across the galaxy, people are going to flock to whoever is creating the most calm place for them.
Right, because they want to live. They don't want the chaos. They don't want to have to constantly be looking over their shoulder and wondering what's going to happen next.
Right.
The uncertainty, the fear, which is how the Empire, it's how the Emperor rules. It's how the Empire rules. Is through fear. It creates fear. So it's just it just shows you how evil he was, and I was glad to see him execute. I was sorry to see the actor go, but he definitely deserved to be executed. What'd you think, Abby? I know
he deserved to be executed, but I feel like he could have been like a bigger, like
a future bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, I could see him being a future bad guy and someone like rescuing him after he got shot down by like Mayfield. So,
Right. So, all right. So let's move on to blasting their way out of the refinery. First of all, I thought there was some really cool sharpshooting by Fennec and Kara teaming up. They're both pretty damn good sharpshooters. What'd you think, Brian?
Yeah, they were really good.
Yeah. And then I liked how Mayfield used Boba's Tusken Raider rifle to destroy the Rhydon shipments too. I was like, that's brilliant. Of all the things to use, the most simple blaster rifle to set up this huge powder keg that actually took the refinery up with them.
Right.
Really showing that he has no love for the Empire or the philosophy of the Empire. He's showing himself to be more and more of a good guy that was just in a bad situation than even a guy that's maybe middle of the road, on some things. He's starting to show, that he could be a good guy going forward, I think, even. And then the coolest thing, I don't know about you, I love the sonic depth charge from Slave One used.
Yeah, I really like that. I kind of had a feeling it was going to be something like that, but wasn't sure it was going to be this big sonic, like, you had the whole. If I had my sound up on my TV, I'm sure it would have sounded even better. But it was, it was. Is that the same sound when the Death Star broke up?
No, but we do see, if you go all the way back to episode 2, if you remember when Obi-Wan Kenobi is chasing, at that time, Jango Fett and Boba Fett in Slave One, he releases these same seismic depth charges. And they're like in an asteroid field, and it breaks the asteroids into even more smaller asteroids kind of deals. They're going down to Geonosis. Right. So it was a great callback and a great use, and I always loved that scene in episode 2 for the sound effect and for the obviously the visual, and to see him use this, it's a great callback, and just the power that Boba Fett has in Slave One, all the goodies and the extra stuff, which I think we all come to love and know, right? So and then, of course, Mayfield earns his fake death, which I thought was interesting. I thought he was going to go with him. I think this is where you and I both said, this didn't go exactly how we thought it was going to go. They released him, said, we'll report you as dead to the Republic, but he ended up staying on the planet, which I thought was a little strange. What do you think, B?
Well, yeah, I definitely thought it was strange. I would have thought that he would have went with them to look for the kid. Especially with his Imperial expertise. Yeah,
definitely.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that he was able to get a second chance at everything.
Yeah.
And they're saying, he was pronounced dead.
Yeah.
In the efforts. I don't know. It just kind of, like I said, it caught me off guard. I really expected him to be part of the
baby. Oh gosh,
baby Yoda breakout crew.
Yeah, the breakout crew, the Grogu breakout crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he may end up being I could see him end up being like the sheriff of that little town or whatever, helping them get rid of the rest of the Empire or something if we come back to him, because I don't think we've seen the end of him. In fact, the more I think about it, and I'm going to speculate for a minute, last night we had the whole podcast on all the new shows that are coming out, and one of them is the was it Rangers of the New Republic?
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely see this guy being ex-Imperial, because I think the Rangers are going to be fighting what's left of the Imperial remnant, at least in the show to some degree. And I can definitely see these talents paying off in that kind of a show, to see him as a Ranger, especially if he gets that cool backpack back where he had the third gun. Maybe get like 2 guns coming out now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty sweet, I think, if that. I don't know. What do you think about him being used in that capacity, Brian?
Yeah, well, I really. I don't know. I mean, I think he could definitely be a Ranger.
Yeah, I think he'd be a badass Ranger too. I think
he definitely has that. He definitely has that loyalty to his group.
Yes.
Which I think is a big thing for Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I could definitely see him being a Ranger going forward.
Yeah, especially if he gets like a. Do you remember in the Clone Wars the bounty hunter Cad Bane, and he had that like straight cowboy hat, kind of like it was round. If he had put that on with those backpacks, that would be pretty cool. Something along that would make him look like a real kind of like a Ranger kind of feel and look to it, I think. And then, so let's talk about the last scene, which I love this scene. Talk about this whole episode. We've been turning everything around and using it and looking at it from a different point of view. And what does Mando do to get Gideon to come out of hiding and come after him? He uses his own speech against him. It's that whole speech. It's the same speech that Moff gave to them in episode 8, the climb out of episode 8, when he said, "You have no idea what this child means to me. I'm going to get him back." It's verbatim his speech, just to goat and get Gideon pissed off to come after him. What do you think of that, Brian? I thought I just thought that was the coolest. It's like a call out in wrestling or something. What do you think? Brian, B.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yep. I'm trying to think about the.
So you think Gideon will? Did you?
The speech? Like I was trying to think back on how the speech actually went.
Yeah. Well, it was. You don't know what this child means to me.
No, it's
or how much.
This child means more to me than you'll ever know.
Yes. There you go.
That was it. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very, and you could tell it got under his skin too.
Oh yeah, he's pissed. He's got a glare at him. And, and he's done the wrestling call out. It's because they're like, how are we gonna get Gideon to come to us? And sure enough, he's gonna come to him now. 100%. It's gonna be pretty cool. I wonder if he'll be arrogant enough to bring the child with him just to gloat that and hold that over Mando's head.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will, because I'm sure it's going to be one of those. It's a trap type of things where they're going to let him come onto the ship.
Yeah.
And then it'll be a big lockdown and let them fight their way out.
Absolutely. And again, I can't give enough credit to this, because if there's anything they can use against Moff Gideon against him, it's his own ego. Because this guy thinks he's the next coming of Darth Vader. He walks like Darth Vader. He's got the whole,
Yes, he does.
He's got that whole bravado. So I was just like, ooh, perfect. And I thought, what a perfect ending. All right, Gabby, you know what? Let's get into final thoughts and grades. So what did you think of this episode overall?
Okay, so the middle of the episode where you didn't talk about this part, but where the Mandalorian was fighting the pirates off and stuff.
Yes.
I didn't really like that part, to be honest. So that was probably where my thoughts about this episode went down.
Okay.
But rather than that, I love this episode, especially the ending.
Okay. So what would you, if you had to give it a letter grade, A, B, C, D, what would you give it?
B plus.
B plus? Okay, that's fair. You know what? I'll stick. I like that B plus. I'm gonna go B plus A minus, actually, somewhere in between. Not as good as the last couple episodes we've had, but definitely it was one of those certain point of views, turn it around. Mayfield, becoming this good guy that before this episode I would have said that Bill, is it Bill Barr? Is that the
Burr?
Bill Burr. I always want to say Barr. Bill Burr, I wasn't sure if that character was a real good fit in Star Wars, maybe. But after watching this episode and how they developed the character and really, giving us that kind of twist and that turn and shown us, the different possibilities, I think I'm really going to like this character, especially if he ends up in the Rangers, I think, of the New Republic. So from that perspective and everything else, it had enough action in it. I thought, I thought it was a pretty cool episode, and then to see Mando deal with his beliefs and having to break those beliefs for Grogu and really showing the sacrifice there. I'm gonna go definitely a B plus A minus. Brian, what did you think?
I'll definitely go with an A minus to A.
Okay.
I enjoyed the hand-to-hand combat. The fact that he didn't have his armor on it, and while he was fighting,
that's a good point.
While he was fighting, he realized he didn't have his armor on because he got hit and he goes, "Ow!" You know what I mean? Like it was pretty funny. And they're fighting and everything else. I really liked the reverse, like the Empire cheering him on, Empire coming in for the save.
Yep.
I don't think I could deal with that all the time, but I like the fact that the world doesn't revolve around the rebels.
Right.
That there is that other aspect that you can look at. It reminds you of the Democrats and Republicans. There is that other aspect where this is their beliefs, so they're fighting for their beliefs and they're cheering on their guys, even though as Star Wars fans we're always fighting for the rebels.
Right.
There are those people who want that system of calmness and out of the chaos, bringing the order, and and I really like the what are we calling the MTTs?
The MTTs, yeah, we're calling transport troopers, mining
transport troopers.
Yeah, that looks.
I really
cool.
like that, and I really like the mud trooper.
Yep, mud trooper, the return.
That grit, and the whole. That whole aspect of it, I really would have liked to have seen, like we talked about, more of like a prison break type episode.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But I could deal with this. This was pretty neat.
Okay, copy. Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's our episode. But before we go, if you like what you saw here and you like this episode and you want to see more of us, the best place to go is www.the4midwestguys.com. Everything's on there. Everything's listed in the order that we release it. If you want to watch the individual YouTube videos, there's links for the audio only as well. There's links to our Podbean and our XML for the audio only if you'd like to subscribe. You can follow, like, and subscribe. There's links to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitter, to all of that stuff. It's all there. It's your one-stop shop. Your best place to go is the number 4 midwestguys.com. If you like, however, just on Facebook, we're on facebook.com/the number 4 midwestguys. Twitter, we're at number 4 or at the number 4 midwestguys. Brian, I'll turn it back over to you. I know you got promotion that you want to do, so I'm switch it on over as soon as Gary puts your helmet back on. Okay, so you want to tell us about your new channel?
Yeah, so I have Gone Thrifting 859. Okay. Where me and my dad are doing the whole thrifting and eBay reselling. We're going to start doing some videos over there. I already did a Pokemon unboxing where I was able to pull a couple pretty decent price cards. I think my most expensive one was a $50 card I pulled out of the box.
Wow.
But we'll do some unboxing of those cards. One thing I'm going to start doing once a week is something called Pack Wars, where it's either going to be some kind of card, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, or Pokemon, or possibly I don't know if they even have them anymore, but they used to have Star Wars cards.
They did. I don't know. They seem to only come out around the movies. I don't know if they do.
Yeah. So we'll see what they have out. But we'll basically what we'll do is we'll sit down, either like me and my daughter, or maybe me and you, or me and my dad. We'll do a like either 3, 4, or 5 packs versus 3, 4, or 5 packs, and we'll see who pulls the either better looking cards or the neatest card we think between the two of us, or and there's a bunch of ways to do it. Pokemon, they do hit points, or we could do value. It's up in the air, but it's something we could do. Just keep things moving. Easy put out for videos and things of that nature.
Sure.
But that's Dawn Thrifting 859. We do have a YouTube channel out there with and I have been putting up links on the on Facebook as well. So
okay,
be sure to check us out.
Sounds awesome, dude. And I look forward to that. So let me know when you want to do that. And if you hear in background noise, that's our Roomba going off in the background. It's vacuuming the kitchen, making a bunch of noise. So anyway, and Brian, where can they find you on Twitter and social media and all that fun stuff?
Oh yeah, you can find me my personal one at AnkZone over on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at _real_ank.
Okay.
And that's about it.
All right. And you can find my personal on Twitter and Stardust at bwilly1977. If you like the behind the scenes kind of stuff, we need to kind of catch that up with some more pictures and stuff. But if you like behind the scenes kind of stuff, we put that on our Instagram account. That's the _4_Midwest_guys. You drop us an email at the _4MidwestGuys@gmail.com. And then our newest thing is the fan voicemail line. That's if you dial 1-859-363-5952, you'll hear my lovely voice, and you just leave your name, your number, and what you're talking about in your comment. And if we really like the comment, you find yourself online. This is really a cool way to voice what you guys like, maybe what you don't like, and if there's anything on the other shows or things of your interest that maybe you want us to review or do or talk about, this is the best way to do it. So make sure you reach out to us again. That's 1-859-363-5952. All right, Gabby, put your helmet back on, honey, because we're going to say goodbye.
Why do you keep doing it?
This is what we do, honey. All right, so that's it for us in this week. And Brian, I want to thank you for joining us, dude.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And Gabriella, thanks again. Thanks for being on with us. Really appreciate it.
Bye, my dudes.
All right, and I am B. Willie, your host, saying, may the force be with you always.